Welcome, Yuanqing. I'm really glad you could join us today.
Sure.
So, today you're the head of Baidu Research, and
Right.
when the Chinese government, the government of China,
hmm
was looking for someone to start up and build a national deep learning research lab,
Right.
they tapped you to
hmm
help start this thing. So, arguably, I think maybe you're the number one deep learning person in the entire country of China.
hmm
Um, so I'd love to ask you a lot of questions about your work, but before that, I want to hear about your personal story. So, how did you end up, getting to do this work that you do?
Yeah. So I actually I before my PhD program, my major was in kind of optics. So it's more like in physics. So I think I had a very good kind of background, like a very good background on math. Then after I came to US, then I was thinking like what kind of major I'm gonna take for my PhD program. I was thinking that whether I could go for optics or go for something else because back to like early 2000, I think nanotechnology was very hot, but I was thinking that probably I should look at something like even more exciting, and there's a good chance that I was taking some classes at UPenn, and I got to know Dan Lee. So later he became my PhD advisor. So and I was thinking like machine learning was a great thing to do, and I got really excited. And I changed my major. So I did my PhD at UPenn, like majoring in in machine learning. Yeah, and so that kind of actually is I was there for 5 years, and that was kind of really exciting. And I think I learned lots of things from scratch, lots of algorithms, even like PCAs. I didn't know those before. Yeah, it was kind of I feel like I was learning new things every day. So it was very exciting experience for me.
It was one of those teams with a lot of stars, although,
Yeah.
just did a lot of work and it was underappreciated for its time.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So I think NEC was exciting place, and I was there at the beginning as a researcher. Again, I also like feel like wow, I learned lots of things. And and I actually later at NEC I kind of started working on computer vision. I actually started working on computer vision very late, relatively late. Yeah. And the first thing I did over there was I participated in the ImageNet Challenge. That's the first year of ImageNet Challenge. I was kind of managing a team to work on the project. It was lucky, we were quite lucky that we were quite strong, and we at the end we actually got the number one place, overwhelming number one place in the context.
So you were the first ever in the world ImageNet competition winner.
Right. Yeah, and I was the person that did the presentation at the workshop. Yeah, so I was that was really nice experience for me, and that actually get me into these very large scale kind of computer vision tasks. Yeah, and so I have been working on these very large scale problems since then. So when these your cat paper, New York Times cat come out, and also later on like this AlexNet come out, it really blew my mind. Actually, I thought like wow, the deep learning is so powerful, and I think since then I invest lots of effort. I think to work on those.
So, as a head of China's national research lab on deep learning, there must be a lot of exciting activities going on there.
Right.
So, for the global audience, watching this, what should they know about what's happening with this national lab?
The mission of this national engineering lab is to build a very large deep learning platform, and probably hope to be the biggest one, at least the biggest one in China. And on this platform, we would offer people like a deep learning framework like Paddle, and we offer people the very large scale computing resource, and we will also offer people very large, like very big kind of data, right? And if people are able to kind of to develop or research or develop a kind of good technology on this platform, we will also offer them like a big applications. So for example, the technology can be plugged into some big applications in Baidu, so that the technology could get iterated and improved. Yeah. So we believe that combining those combining those results all together, I think this is going to be a very powerful platform. Let me also give you kind of one example on this. For example, like right now, if we publish a paper, say let's say a researcher publish a paper, if someone want to reproduce it, then they need to kind of, the best thing to do is probably the person will provide the code somewhere, and you could download that code to your computer, and you also try to find the data set somewhere, and you probably you probably also need to get the good configuration of your kind of computing resource to run it smoothly, right? So this easily kind of take you some efforts. At the least deep national lab, things will become much easier. So if someone using this platform to write the paper, to do the work and write the paper, and they will have the code on this platform, and the computing structure is already set up for this code, and the data is there too. So basically, you just need a command line to reproduce the result. So this is a huge, I think, is a bigger kind of relief for lots of kind of reproducibility issues in computer science. So you easily, you just kind of, just a few seconds, you start learning something like you see in a paper. Yeah, so this is extremely powerful. So so this is just one example that we are working on, like to make sure that we are providing like a very powerful platform to the community and to the industry.
That's amazing. That would really speed up deep learning research.
Right. Yeah.
Can you give a sense of how much resources the Chinese government is putting to back you for this deep learning national lab?
So I think for this national engineering lab, I think the government definitely gonna invest some funding into here to build up the infrastructure. But I think more important would be this is gonna be a flagship in China that gonna lead lots of kind of deep learning efforts, like including like a national project and lots of kind of policies and things. Yeah, so this is actually is extremely powerful, and I think for Baidu we are really honored to get this lab.
You're somewhat at the heart of deep learning in China.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of activity in China that the global audience isn't aware of yet and hasn't seen yet.
Right.
So what should people outside China know about deep learning in China?
Yeah, I think in China, especially in the past few years, I think the deep learning powered product and service is really booming. Ranging from like search engines to like a face recognition, to surveillance, to e-commerce, like lots of places. I think they are investing big effort in the deep learning, and also they are really make use of those technology to make the business much more powerful. Yeah, and this actually is very important for developing AI technology in general. I think for myself, and also lots of people share this. We believe that actually it's very important to have this we often call the positive loop. Right? For example, you probably when we start out to think of building some technology, then we will have some initial data, and we try to develop some initial algorithm. We launch some initial product, right? Product or service. Then after that, we get the data from users, and after we get more data, then we will develop more. We will develop better algorithms, right? Because we see more data, we know what will be the better algorithm. So we have more data and better algorithm. We're able to have better technology for the product and service, and then definitely we hope we'll be able to attract more users, right? Because of the technology is better, and we'll get more data. So this is a very good positive loop, and it's very special actually for AI related technologies, right? I mean for like traditional technology like laser that I was working on that before. So it's more like the growth of the technology going to be more linear. But for this AI technology, actually, because of this positive loop, you can imagine that definitely at a certain point, you will come with like very fast growth of the technology. Yeah. And the lease actually is super important. And when we're designing the research and research and development, when we design our R&D, right, we work on the direction that we're able to get to this a quick kind of improving period, right? If we are not able to, if our business and we are not able to, our whole business is not able to form this positive loop, or if we are not able to form this kind of strong positive loop, then this direction probably should not work on, because someone else who have a strong business to form this strong loop, then they will get to this kind of a phase much more quicker than you are. So this actually is a very important logic for us when we're looking at it, like I say, hey, in this company, what direction we should work on and what direction we should not work on. This definitely is a very important factor we should look at.
Today, both in China and in the US and globally, there are a lot
Right.
of people wanting to enter deep learning and wanting to enter AI.
Right.
What advice would you have for someone that wants to get into this field?
So nowadays, definitely, I think people who start with open source frameworks, I think that's extremely powerful to many starters. I think when I was starting my deep learning study, there was not much like a open source resource. I think nowadays, like in AI or especially in deep learning, there is a very good community outlet, right? And there are multiple like a very good deep learning frameworks to start with, like a TensorFlow, a Cafe, like now it's called Cafe 2, right? And like in China we have very good Paddle, right? And those are even like for most of those online, they have lots of like courses to kind of to teach you how to use those. And also nowadays also there are many like publicly available benchmark, and the people could see, hey, like really kind of skillful or very experienced people, like how well they could do on those benchmark. So basically, like, to get familiar with the deep learning, I think those are really good starting point.
How did you gain that understanding?
So actually, I do it in a opposite way. Right? I kind of learn. I mentioned I learned PCA, I learned like LDA, and all those like before I learned deep learning actually, right? So basically, that also is a good way. I feel like we kind of lay down lots of foundations, right? And we learn graphical model, right? So these are all kind of important. Although right now, deep learning is become very dominant, but knowing those actually give you very good intuition about how deep learning works. And one day probably there's a connection of deep learning to those like a framework or approach. I think there's already lots of connections, and those actually make deep learning richer, right? I mean, there are richer ways of doing deep learning, right? Yeah. So I feel like it's good to start with those kind of open source platforms. Those are definitely extremely powerful resource. But meanwhile, I also suggest like you also to learn those basic things about machine learning.
So thank you. That was fascinating. Even though I've known you for a long time, there are a lot of details you're thinking that I didn't realize until now. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.